What if I told you that every time you get angry, you are letting someone else control your mind? That's right. Your emotions aren't just reactions, they're choices. And today, we're uncovering the ancient secrets to never feeling angry or bothered by anyone ever again. Anger feels automatic, right? Someone cuts you off in traffic, your boss disrespects you, a friend betrays you, boom, rage kicks in. But what if you could decide not to care? Not in a cold, emotionless way, but with total control. For centuries, Shaolin monks have mastered this, not by suppressing emotions, but by understanding one simple truth. Anger is a trap, and today, we're breaking it down step by step. Anger is a trick your mind plays on you. You ever stop to wonder why the same thing can make one person explode with rage and leave another completely unfazed? It's not about what happened, it's about what happened inside the person. Let me explain. Imagine this. You're walking down the street and a stranger bumps into you hard. No apology, just keeps walking. What's your first thought? If it's how disrespectful or who does that, then congratulations, you've just fallen for your mind's oldest trick. Because here's the truth. That person didn't make you angry, your story about what they did. Shaolin teachings break it down like this. Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The bump, that's pain. The anger, that's suffering. And the gap between them is where your power lies. Let's go deeper. Think of your mind like a movie projector. The world is just light passing through the film, but the images, the meaning, the drama, that's all added by you. When someone insults you, it's just sound waves hitting your eardrum. The hurt comes from the part of you that agrees with them, the part that whispers, maybe they're right. This is why two people can hear the exact same words and react completely differently. One laughs it off, the other loses sleep over it. The difference isn't the words, it's the beliefs they hid inside you. So how do you break the cycle? First, catch yourself in the act. Next time anger starts bubbling up, pause. Ask, what story am I telling myself right now? Because 99% of the time, anger isn't about facts. It's about the meaning you're assigning to them. For example, your coworker takes credit for your idea. The fact, they said something you came up with. The story, they're stealing from me. I'm not respected. This always happens to me. See how the story is what hurts, not the act itself. Now try this instead. Strip the story away, just the facts. They said X, I did Y. No judgments, no predictions. No, this means I'm a loser, just facts. Suddenly the anger has nowhere to live. This isn't about pretending nothing matters, it's about realizing that you decide what matters. And when you control that, you control your emotions, not the other way around. But here's where most people get stuck. They think, if I don't get angry, I'm letting them win. Wrong. Anger isn't strength, it's surrender. It's handing the remote control of your peace to someone else. Real strength, choosing not to give them that power. Think of it like this. If a toddler calls you ugly, do you scream back? No, because their opinion holds no weight. Now apply that to everyone, not because they're toddlers, but because their words only have the power you give them. This is the core of Shaolin wisdom. External events don't disturb us, our attachment to them does. The moment you see anger as a choice, not a reflex, you're free. The mirror rule, what angers you reveals you. There's a reason certain things set you off, while others don't, and it has nothing to do with the other person. Let me ask you something. Ever met someone who just irritates you for no clear reason? Maybe it's the way they talk, how they act. Something about them just grates on you. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. That reaction isn't about them. It's about you. Shaolin philosophy teaches that the things we react to most strongly are mirrors. They show us parts of ourselves we don't fully accept. Think about it. If you hate arrogance, it's often because you were taught to suppress your own confidence. If laziness makes you furious, it might be because you're overworking to prove your worth. If dishonesty triggers you, chances are you've lied to yourself about something important. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Because once you see this pattern, you can use it to grow. Here's how it works. Every emotional reaction is a signal. Anger is just a loud one. When you feel it, instead of focusing on them, ask, what's this really about? For example, say your friend is always late. It drives you crazy. Why? On the surface, it's disrespect. But dig deeper. Maybe you were never allowed to be late as a kid. Maybe you had to be perfect. And seeing someone not care triggers that old pressure. Suddenly, it's not about the lateness. It's about your relationship with rules. This is why Shaolin and masters say, the enemy is the best teacher. The people who push your buttons aren't obstacles, they're guides. They show you where you're still holding on, where you're still sensitive, where you still need work. Now, try this exercise. Think of the last 3 times you got really angry. What did they have in common? Not the situations, the feelings underneath. Was it helplessness, fear of being disrespected, feeling unseen? Those are your wounds, not theirs. This doesn't mean people get a free pass to be jerks. It means you stop giving them free rent in your head. When you understand why something bothers you, it loses its power. Here's the practical part. Next time someone triggers you, pause. Instead of how dare they, ask, why does this bother me so much? Sit with that question. The answer will tell you more about yourself than a year of therapy. And over time, something funny happens. The things that used to make you furious, they just don't. Not because you're suppressing anger, but because you've healed the part of you that needed to be angry. That's the real secret. Emotional freedom isn't about controlling others. It's about understanding yourself so deeply that nothing they do can shake you. Most people never notice it. They go straight from trigger to explosion, like a match tossed into gasoline. But what if you could stretch that moment? What if, instead of an instant reaction, you could create space, just enough to choose how you respond? That's where the real power lies. Think about the last time you lost your temper. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a coworker said something disrespectful. For a fraction of a second, you felt the anger rise, and before you knew it, you were already yelling, already tense, already caught in the storm. But here's the thing, that reaction wasn't automatic. It was a habit, and habits can be broken. Shaolin training teaches that the mind is like a wild animal. It reacts on instinct, unless you train it otherwise. And the way you train it is by inserting a pause. Not an hour, not even a minute, just 10 seconds. That's all it takes to change everything. Here's how it works. The next time you feel anger coming, stop. Don't speak, don't move, just breathe. Count to 10 in your head. And in that space, ask yourself one simple question. Will this matter in 10 days, 10 months? Most of the time, the answer is no. The insult, the disrespect, the frustration, it's temporary. But your reaction, that can last. That can burn bridges, create regrets, and leave scars. The pause isn't about suppressing anger. It's about giving yourself the chance to decide if anger is even worth it. Now, you might be thinking, but in the moment, it feels impossible to stop. And you're right. If you've spent years reacting without thinking, it will feel unnatural at first. But that's why this is a practice, not a trick. You don't wait until you're furious to try it. You start small. Someone bumps into you, pause. Someone interrupts you, pause. You stub your toe, pause. Over time, that gap between trigger and response widens. And the wider it gets, the more control you have. Because here's the truth, most people never realize, you don't control what happens to you, but you always control what happens next. This isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming intentional. Anger has its place. It can signal injustice, motivate change, protect boundaries, but most of the time, it's just noise. It's your ego reacting to a world it can't control. And the more you practice the pause, the easier it becomes to tell the difference. So start today. The next time you feel that heat rising, that urge to snap, stop 10 seconds. Breathe. Ask, is this worth my peace? And then choose. That's where real strength lies. The water method. How to let insults roll off. Imagine holding a glass of muddy water. If you shake it, stir it, react to it, the water stays cloudy. But if you set it down and leave it alone, something happens. Slowly, the dirt settles, the water clears, and what was once murky becomes still, transparent, calm. Your mind works the same way. When someone insults you, when they try to provoke you, your first instinct is probably to react, to defend yourself, to argue, to fire back. But what happens when you do? The mud spreads, the anger lingers, the insult takes up space in your head long after the moment has passed. Now, imagine another way. What if, instead of stirring the water, you just let it be? What if, when the insult comes, you don't react at all, you don't agree, you don't fight, you just observe? This is what Shaolin masters call being like water. Water doesn't resist. It doesn't argue. It doesn't hold on to anything. If you throw a rock into a river, the water doesn't stop flowing to fight back. It simply moves around it, continues on, unchanged. That's the secret to handling insults. Not by blocking them, not by returning them, but by letting them pass through you without sticking. Here's how it works in real life. Someone says something cruel. Instead of immediately reacting, you take a breath. You ask yourself, is this true? If it's not, why bother with it? If it is, why get angry about it? Either way, the insult only has power if you give it power. Most people get caught in the trap of needing to win the exchange. They think silence means losing. But think about it. When someone throws an insult and you don't react, who really looks foolish? The person who tried to provoke you, or the one who remained unshaken? This isn't about being passive, it's about being unmovable. When you don't react, you take away the other person's power. They wanted a fight, they wanted drama, and when you refuse to give it to them, their words just disappear. Now, this doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself. Boundaries matter, but there's a difference between defending yourself and engaging in the insult. One is purposeful, the other is just ego. Try this. The next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine their words as leaves floating down a river. You see them, you acknowledge them, but you don't stop the river to pick them up. You just let them drift by. Over time, something shifts. The things that used to bother you don't anymore. The insults that used to sting just don't land, because you've stopped giving them weight. That's the power of water. It doesn't fight, but it always wins. It doesn't resist, but it wears down stone. And when you learn to move through life the same way, nothing and no one can shake you. Why you should thank people who test you most. People spend their lives trying to avoid difficult people. They complain about rude coworkers, get frustrated with demanding family members, and wish everyone would just be nice. But what if I told you these challenging people are actually doing you a favor? What if every difficult interaction wasn't an obstacle, but an opportunity? Think about how we train our bodies. When you lift weights, you don't choose the lightest dumbbell. You pick one that challenges you. When you practice martial arts, you don't spar with someone weaker. You seek out better opponents. The principle is simple. Growth comes from resistance. So why do we treat mental and emotional challenges any different? In traditional training, students didn't complain about tough masters. They sought them out. They understood that the teacher who pushed them hardest was giving them the greatest gift. The same applies to your daily life. That coworker who always pushes your button, they're your patience trainer. The relative who knows exactly how to annoy you, they're your emotional flexibility coach. The stranger who cuts in line, they're testing your ability to stay centered. Here's the shift in perspective that changes everything. Instead of thinking, why does this always happen to me? Start asking, what is this here to teach me? Every frustrating person is showing you where your limits still are. Every annoying situation is revealing where you still get hooked. These aren't problems. They're perfectly designed lessons. Let me give you an example. Say there's someone at work who constantly interrupts you in meetings. The old approach would be to get angry, maybe complain to others, let it ruin your day. The new approach, see them as your personal trainer for assertiveness and composure. Each interruption is another rep in your emotional strength training. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. Boundaries are important, but there's a world of difference between setting boundaries from a place of calm strength versus reacting from anger and frustration. One builds real power, the other just burns energy. Try this exercise. Make a list of the people who test your patience most. Next to each name, write what quality they're helping you develop. The micromanaging boss, they're teaching you attention to detail and communication. The perpetually late friend, they're training your flexibility and time management. Suddenly, your problems become your curriculum. The most advanced practitioners don't avoid difficult people. They appreciate them. They understand that smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. When you start seeing challenging interactions as training rather than torment, something remarkable happens. They stop being challenging, not because the people change, but because you. This week, try thanking, even if just mentally, one person who tests you. Notice how it changes your energy in the interaction. Over time, you'll find yourself welcoming challenges instead of resisting them. And that's when you realize the strongest people aren't those who face no adversity, but those who've learned to use every adversity as fuel. The one question that kills anger instantly. Anger is like pouring boiling water on yourself and expecting someone else to get burned. In the moment, it feels powerful, justified, even satisfying. But if you pause and look at the results, really look, you'll notice something. Anger almost never gives you what you actually want. Think about the last time anger won you something. Maybe you intimidated someone into compliance. Maybe you vented your frustration. But did it create lasting respect? Did it build understanding? Did it leave you feeling at peace? Probably not. More likely, it left a mess to clean up. Damaged relationships, lingering tension, maybe even regret. This is why the most powerful people aren't the quickest to anger. They're the quickest to ask one simple question. What's the smartest response here? Not the most satisfying, not the most dramatic, not the one that feels best in the moment. The smartest, the one that actually moves you towards your real goals. Here's why this works. Anger lives in the emotional brain. Strategy lives in the thinking brain. When you ask what's the smartest response, you force a shift from reactive emotion to conscious choice. It's like switching from autopilot to manual control. Let's break down how to use this in real time. Someone insults you, your face gets hot, your pulse quickens, the anger surge begins. This is the critical moment. Before reacting, insert the question, what's the smartest response? Suddenly, options appear where before there was only impulse. Option 1, fire back an insult, feels good now but escalates conflict. Option 2, walk away, denies them the reaction they want. Option 3, respond with unexpected kindness, completely disarms the situation. Option 4, say nothing, but observe what buttons got pushed in you. Which is smartest, depends on your goal. If you want to win the argument, maybe option 1. If you want peace, option 2 or 3. If you want self-knowledge, option. The point isn't which you choose. It's that you're choosing consciously rather than reacting blindly. This practice works because it creates space between stimulus and response. In that space, you regain your power. You stop being a puppet to your emotions and start being the director of your actions. Some people worry that this approach makes them weak. Actually, the opposite is true. Anyone can lash out. That requires no skill, but to stay centered when provoked, to respond with intention rather than impulse. That's real strength. Try this for 1 week. Every time you feel anger rising, pause and ask, what's the smartest response? Write down what happens. You'll likely notice 3 things. First, the intensity of your anger decreases. Second, your interactions become more productive. Third, people start treating you with more respect. Not because they fear your anger, but because they admire your control. Remember, anger is a tool, not a master. Like any tool, it has its uses, but only when wielded with precision. The question, what's the smartest response, is how you go from being controlled by anger to being in control of it, and that makes all the difference. How to disarm anyone without saying a word. There's a moment in every conflict where the energy shifts, where either the situation escalates or it dissolves. Most people miss this moment because they're too busy preparing their next words, their defense, their counterattack. But the true masters of emotional control know something different. Silence speaks louder than any comeback ever could. Imagine standing perfectly still while someone shouts in your face. Their face turns red. Their voice shakes with emotion. Their words become more extreme, trying to get a reaction from you. And you? You just breathe. You watch. You remain as unmoved as a mountain during a storm. What happens next is almost magical. Their anger runs out of fuel. Like a fire with nothing to burn, it dies out on its own. This isn't about being passive. This is about understanding the fundamental nature of anger. It requires participation. When you refuse to play your part in the drama, the whole performance falls apart. The person yelling wants you to yell back. The one trying to provoke you needs you to take the bait. When you don't, they're left standing there holding all that energy with nowhere to put it. Think about the last time someone was angry at you. Really angry. What were they looking for? Probably some sign that their anger was affecting you. A change in your expression, a defensive response, even just visible discomfort. Now imagine giving them none of that. Imagine your face as calm as still water, no matter what they say. How long could their anger last without your cooperation? This approach works because it attacks anger at its root. Anger isn't just an emotion, it's a transaction. Someone throws their anger at you, expecting you to catch it and throw something back. When you simply don't catch it, the transaction can't complete. Their words hang in the air, and without your reaction to feed off, they lose their power. There's a beautiful paradox here. By doing nothing, you actually gain complete control of the situation. Not control over the other person, that's never possible, but control over the only thing that truly matters, your own inner state. And when you have that, something interesting happens. The other person often starts mirroring your calm, rather than you mirroring their anger. Try this experiment. Next time someone directs anger at you, make it your practice to simply observe. Watch their body language. Notice the tone of their voice. Observe how their energy rises and falls. But don't engage. Don't argue. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just be present and unaffected. You'll discover something profound. Most anger is like a wave. It builds, it peaks, and then it has to recede. Your non-reaction simply lets it complete its natural cycle without dragging you under. This doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or never stand up for yourself. There are absolutely times to speak, to set boundaries, to walk away, but those should be conscious choices, not automatic reactions. The power comes from knowing the difference, from responding rather than reacting. Remember, the person who stays calm in a storm isn't weak. They're the only one strong enough to think clearly. When you master this silent strength, you'll find that fewer and fewer people even try to upset you. Not because you've intimidated them, but because they instinctively recognize it simply won't work. That's when you'll understand. True power isn't in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. The lifetime practice, building unshakable peace. Peace isn't something you find, it's something you build, brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. Most people think of peace as the absence of conflict, but the deeper truth is that real peace is what remains when conflict comes and goes without disturbing what matters most. Your center. Think of your mind like a vast ocean. On the surface, waves rise and fall. These are your passing thoughts and emotions. Most people live tossed about by these surface waves, believing they are the waves. But beneath the surface, down in the depths, there is stillness that never moves. Your practice isn't to stop the waves. That's impossible. But to become so familiar with the depths that the surface storms bother you less and less. This isn't achieved through grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It happens in small, daily moments. Letting go of one petty annoyance today. Choosing not to react to a provocation tomorrow. Watching an angry thought arise and deciding not to follow it. These seem like insignificant actions, but over time they reshape your entire being. Consider how a river carves through stone, not through sudden force, but through persistent, gentle flow. Your path to unshakable peace works the same way. Each time you pause before reacting, you're carving a new channel in your mind. Each time you breathe through frustration instead of expressing it, you're deepening that channel. At first the changes seem invisible, but one day you'll notice the things that used to throw you into turmoil now pass through you like wind through tree. The mistake many make is expecting immediate results. They try to force peace through sheer will, suppressing emotions or pretending not to feel what they feel. This never works. Real peace isn't about denial. It's about understanding. It's not that you stop feeling anger. It's that you stop being controlled by it. The difference is everything. Here's how to practice. Start with small disturbances. The person who cuts you off in traffic, the slow internet connection, the misplaced keys. Use these as your training ground. When you feel the irritation rise, notice it, breathe, ask yourself, will this matter in an hour, a day, a year? Most of the time the answer is clear. Then make the conscious choice to let it go. What you're really doing is retraining your nervous system. Every time you successfully navigate a minor irritation without losing peace, you're building neural pathways that make it easier next time. Over weeks and months, this adds up to real change, where once you would have exploded over a rude comment, now you might simply notice it and move on. Not because you're suppressing your reaction, but because you fundamentally changed your relationship to such triggers. This practice extends beyond personal irritation. As you strengthen your inner peace, you'll find yourself less disturbed by larger things too. The chaos of world events, the unpredictability of life, even the big disappointments and setbacks. Not because you don't care, but because you've developed an unshakable foundation that life's storms can't reach. The beautiful thing about this practice is that it's always available. You don't need special equipment or perfect condition. Every moment of every day presents new opportunities to choose peace over reaction, clarity over confusion, presence over distraction. And each choice, no matter how small, moves you further along the path. Remember, the goal isn't to become someone who never feels disturbed. That's impossible. The goal is to become someone who returns to peace so quickly that the disturbances barely register, like a pond that ripples when a stone is thrown, but becomes still again moments later. This is the mark of true mastery, and it's available to anyone willing to practice, day after day, moment by moment, breath by breath. The ultimate truth about control. Here's a hard truth most people spend their lives avoiding. You will never control what other people do. Not your family, not your friends, not strangers on the street. You can't make someone be kind. You can't force someone to understand you. You can't demand that the world behaves exactly as you want it to. And the moment you stop fighting this truth is the moment you discover real freedom. Think about how much energy you waste trying to change things outside your control. The coworker who talks too loud, the neighbor who parks poorly, the relative who always says the wrong thing. Every time you let these things disturb your peace, you're giving away your power. But here's the secret. While you can't control their actions, you have complete control over how those actions affect you. This isn't philosophy. This is practical psychology. Imagine your mind as a castle. Other people's behavior happens outside the walls. That's their territory. But inside the castle, that's your domain. The gates only open when you allow them to. When someone is rude, when life is unfair, when things don't go your way, these events are just happening outside the walls. The question is, will you open the gates and let them in? This distinction changes everything. Most people live as if the opposite were true. They have no control over their internal reactions, but constantly try to control external events. They think, if only my boss was nicer, or if only my partner would change. But this is backwards. The real work isn't in trying to reshape the world to your liking, an impossible task, but in mastering your inner world, regardless of what happens outside. Let me give you a simple practice. Next time someone does something that bothers you, pause and ask, is this within my control? If it is, like your own actions, take responsibility. If it isn't, like nearly everything other people do, let it go. This doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or never set boundaries. It means you stop expecting reality to be different than it is. Here's why this matters. Suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from our resistance to them. The rain isn't the problem, it's your anger at the rain. The traffic jam isn't the issue, it's your frustration about being stuck. When you stop resisting what you can't change, a strange thing happens. The suffering stops too. The situation might remain, but your torment about it disappears. This is the foundation of true emotional freedom, not controlling circumstances, but controlling your relationship to circumstances, not making the world perfect, but finding peace in an imperfect world. The more you practice this shift, the more you'll notice something remarkable. Life's difficulties don't disappear, but they stop being difficulties. They just become things that happen, like clouds passing in the sky. Try this today. Pick one thing that normally bothers you, but is outside your control. Maybe it's the weather, or politics, or how someone else behaves. Each time you notice yourself reacting, remind yourself, this isn't mine to control. Then redirect that energy towards something you can influence, your own actions, your own attitude, your own next move. This simple redirection, practiced consistently, will change your life more than any attempt to control the uncontrollable ever could. Remember, the measure of your power isn't in how much you can change the world, but in how little the world can change you. When you grasp this, you'll discover a quiet strength that no external event can shake. That's the ultimate form of control, the kind that can never be taken from you. Your new rule: I only keep what serves me. Your mind is not a prison, it's a home. And just like any home, you get to decide what stays and what goes. Most people never exercise this right. They let every thought, every emotion, every passing mood take up residence without question. Anger shows up, they feed it. Resentment knocks, they invite it in. Before long, their mental space is cluttered with guests that don't belong there. There's another way. Imagine your mind as a selective host. When an emotion arrives, you don't automatically let it in. You ask one simple question: does this serve me? If the answer is yes, if it brings clarity, motivates positive action, or helps you grow, then welcome it in. If the answer is no, if it clouds your judgment, drains your energy, or holds you back, then politely show it the door. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending you don't feel what you feel. It's about conscious curation. Anger might come knocking, but you get to decide whether to entertain it or not. Anxiety might try to move in, but you determine how long it stays. This subtle shift, from passive experiencer to active chooser, changes everything. Let's take anger as an example. When someone wrongs you, anger will naturally arise. The untrained mind grabs onto this anger, feeds it with thoughts of injustice, lets it dictate words and actions. But the trained mind, it notices the anger, acknowledges its presence, then asks, is this useful? If the anger can fuel positive change or protect important boundaries, maybe you keep it around a while. But if it's just poisoning your peace without purpose, you thank it for its opinion and let it pass through. The same goes for every emotion: worry, fear, jealousy. They're all just visitors. The problem isn't their existence. It's our habit of treating temporary guests as permanent residents. We forget we have the right to say, this isn't helping me anymore. It's time for you to go. Here's how to practice this. Start small. Next time a negative emotion arises, pause and name it. This is frustration. This is impatience. Then ask, is this serving me right now? If not, imagine the emotion as a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. You see it, you acknowledge it, but you don't hold on to it. You let it continue on its way. Over time, this becomes automatic. Emotions still come and go. That's their nature. But you stop identifying with everyone that passes through. You realize you're not the thoughts you think or the feelings you feel. You're the awareness that observes them all. This is the foundation of true emotional freedom. The beautiful thing about this practice is that it works both ways. Just as you learn to let go of what doesn't serve you, you also learn to cultivate what does. Patience, gratitude, compassion. These aren't just random moods that come and go, but qualities you can consciously invite and nurture. Your mental home becomes filled with only the best company. Remember, peace isn't the absence of storms, but the ability to remain undisturbed within them. When you master the art of keeping only what serves you, you'll find that most storms pass without ever entering your house at all. And those that do, they're guests you've consciously chosen, ones that leave you stronger, wiser, and more at peace than before they arrived. That's the power of conscious choice. That's the art of emotional mastery. That's the way of the warrior mind. Anger isn't power, control is. And now, you know exactly how to master it.